What's up guys, it's Untitled Studios here, and today we're going to do a quick video on my current daily driver vacuum cleaner. Since a lot of people ask me, it's like, which one is the one you use the most often? Well, right now, at this exact moment in early 2020, this is the vacuum that I'm using the most often. Pretty much just because it's the lightest weight one that I have, and it's just kind of the simplest. So this is the Bissell PowerForce Helix Turbo. This is the 2190 model, the one that I got pretty recently. And yeah, it's one of two PowerForce Helix turbos. The other one is a slightly older model, but works, also works fine, although this one's in better condition, and it also has all the original attachments with it. And I managed to get this one for only $10, which is really good. But yeah, so it has, obviously you can see all the other ones, but it also has the crevice tool, if I can pull this out. Yep, has a little crevice tool. Put that back on. There we go. So, yeah, this thing is pretty good. I've been using it a lot. I really enjoy it. It's the sort of high-pitched motor doesn't really bother me as much as it used to. And I know I did kind of a quick review-ish on this machine, but there's not really much else that I can say about it. But as far as the things that I like about it, like it uses less power. This one, I believe, is a 10 amp model. Or it might be 8 amp. I'm pretty sure this one's 10 amps. So it doesn't use as much power as the older 12 amp models. Doesn't have a headlight, but since it uses less power, I can kind of understand that. I actually prefer it being 10 amps versus being 12 amps, but still having no headlight, because it's like, what are you using those extra amps for? Nothing, you're just sucking more power. So, because the actual suction difference isn't really any different. The suction on this right now has gone down a little bit just because I've been using it. The dirt cup is completely full, and as a result, the filter is probably pretty dirty and needs to be cleaned, but at least I don't have to worry about it sucking nearly as much dust into the motor as the older machines. Granted, it's still not as good as the bagged counterparts. Obviously, the bagged Bissells are a lot better at keeping dust out of the motor if you use HEPA bags. But, for the bagless machines, I actually prefer this to my CleanView 2 Deluxe just because of the fact that the Cyclone setup is a lot nicer. Obviously, it's pretty similar to like a Dyson or something like that. I mean, pretty much anytime you look at a Cyclone assembly with a handle like this, you pretty much think Dyson, right? So I also like how even with the dirt cup full, this thing is still really lightweight, and it's still easy for me to use. It's not bad on my back or anything. That's the reason why I got a lot of it. I got rid of a lot of vacuums like the Kirby and the Kenmore, because they were just too much for me to handle. But this one is fine. It's still super lightweight. It's much easier to maneuver than the 6585 PowerForce bagless turbo. So yeah, you're losing out on the headlight, but you get the same cleaning path, you get the same stretch hose, even without the extra little wand piece on it. And you still get the same turbo brush. You don't have the upholstery tool, since you just have a dusting brush. But overall, I think it's honestly in general terms, maybe even a better machine. I don't know, because I'm really starting to grow fond of these newer Bissells that they've come out with. I'm really starting to enjoy the changes that they made, at least in terms of the usability of it. Yeah, these things aren't nearly as strong as the older models, and from the quality of plastic wise, but that also makes them lighter, so it's not necessarily for nothing. It's just, you kind of have your preference. Do you want it to weigh a little bit more and be a little bit more rugged? Or do you want it to be a newer style, be a little bit more brittle, but, you get lighter weight? And of course, if you treat your vacuum nicely, then, the build quality doesn't necessarily matter. And even plenty of parts on these still fail, like the handle lock will often fail on these anyways, as will often, parts can still break off, like the cord hooks and stuff like that. So that's not really any different than this. So yeah, this one does need a belt. It still has the original belt on it, so it does kind of drag a little bit when it hits the carpet, especially this really thin carpet. I've also had some requests from a couple people to vacuum on lower settings, because I always vacuum on high settings, but this is very thick plush pile carpet. It is very difficult to push any sort of vacuum. And there are some vacuums I straight up cannot use on this carpet. Like my Dysons, I can barely use on this carpet. Something like the DC07, 14, and 33 are just nearly impossible to maneuver on these rugs with their cleaner head design, or on this carpet, excuse me. Whereas, like the ball Dysons are generally a little bit better with that. So, anyways, there's not really much else to say. I mean, I don't like the shorter crevice tool, but of course I can retrofit an older crevice tool onto it, so it's not that big of a deal. And yeah, so you guys have seen this vacuum plenty of times before, so let's just go ahead and run this. But yeah, so like even with this thing running, I can still hold a relatively normal conversation because of how quiet this thing is. Even though I do prefer the higher pitch sound of the older Bissell motors, you can clearly hear this thing still picking stuff up. I don't know, someone's going to complain about me wearing shoes. Sorry, I'm about to go to work. Anyways, so this is, unlike these machines, this one actually is still on the market. So plenty of people are going to ask me, it's like, hey, would you recommend it? And yeah, I absolutely would. Now, if you saw my Walmart video of recommending vacuums that were there, because obviously this is a Walmart machine, basically, you can still buy this on Amazon and stuff, but I think it's a little bit overpriced on there. And eBay, and you can find these pretty much all over the place. So, I would definitely recommend it. I would actually recommend this over the rewind variant, because there's a dark green variant that also has rewind, and I don't know if I'd recommend that because I don't know how good of a quality that rewind system is. But I definitely recommend this one, and I also definitely recommend the Powerlifter Pet Bagged, which is essentially the bagged version of this machine. And I would actually recommend that more than this one, just because I think bagged in general is a better idea, especially for lower end machines like this, when filtration is usually a severe bottleneck, as well as that also affects the life of the machine. So I always recommend bagged over bagless if you're talking about the same machines in the same product range. But if you really want bagless, this is definitely a very good option. If you take good care of it and you understand the fact that it's going to require a lot more maintenance than the bagged machine, and you're willing to actually put up with it, not just in theory, but in practice, then yeah, you should be able to get one of these. And it should probably, if my Bissell Power Glide, and this machine's 15 years old, and my Power Glide is almost 20 years old, then yeah, I mean, you can pretty much expect these things to last a long time if you take good care of them. Keyword, if you take good care of them. Now, of course, there's always going to be some people who have bad experiences with it. Of course, sometimes defective ones are going to get out there. But in my experience, it's been fairly solid with these machines. So, again, you hopefully you get a good one. But again, I haven't seen any issues with that, with actually getting a good one. Although I haven't bought a new one in a while. Maybe I should do a video where I just go to Walmart and I buy a brand new one and see how well the out-of-box experience is for most people who are going to be buying these. But yeah, so anyways, this is Intelitech Studios with a quick review on the Bissell PowerForce Helix Turbo. So yeah, I definitely recommend this. If you see it at Walmart, you want a bagless machine, definitely get this one. Don't get the standard Helix. This one's much better. Considering the small difference in price, you get so many better features. The hose is just usable at all. The hose is not usable on the PowerForce Helix, in my opinion. So that alone says you should buy the Turbo. So, but anyways, yeah, I definitely recommend it. So if you see one of these and you want a vacuum, pick it up. So yeah, this is Intelitech Studios signing out, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Peace.